Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to our latest explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the completely invisible, epic journey that happens every single time you tap your phone screen. We absolutely take our smartphones for granted, kind of just assuming the connection is magic or lives up in some nebulous cloud. But the reality? It's a breathtaking, highly coordinated physical and digital relay race happening at literal light speed. So, let's peel back the glass and see what's really going on. So here's our roadmap for today. We're covering the invisible relay race, the bridge in the air, the cellular network, core and backbone networks, the internet's soul, and finally, bringing it all back to your palm. Let's get to it. Section 1. The invisible relay race, or the journey from your finger to the world. To really appreciate this technology, we've got to start at the very beginning and look past that glowing glass screen.
Think about it. When you tap to open an app, load a website, or stream a video, it feels like a totally local action, right? Your finger touches the glass and boom, things happen. But in reality, you're essentially firing a starting pistol for an instantaneous, world-spanning event. You're sending a command right past the boundaries of your device, shouting out into the universe, demanding a response.
Because behind the scenes, your request doesn't just beam magically straight to a server. It's passed highly securely like a baton to a 4-stage invisible relay race. We're talking about a heavily choreographed handoff involving wireless air bridges, expansive honeycomb tower networks, thousands of miles of deep-sea cables, and strict digital protocols locking the whole shebang down.
Moving on to Part 2, a bridge in the air, or how digital data becomes radio waves. Let's look at that very first handoff, bridging the gap between your physical isolated device and the open air around you.
Okay, so the very first miracle happens right inside your phone's modem. Computers and phones speak in a strict language of digital ones and zeros, but you obviously can't just throw a zero through the air. So your phone's modem acts as a universal translator. It takes the cold, hard binary code of your video request and translates it into electromagnetic radio waves, pulsing energy that can physically travel through space to the nearest tower.
Now, to pull off this incredible leap from binary to radio wave, the modem uses a technique called modulation. Think of a continuous radio wave as a moving train, and your data as the passengers. Modulation is basically the process of safely boarding your massive data files onto specific frequencies of the invisible electromagnetic spectrum that's all around us. It lets your data seamlessly hitch a ride. And this brilliantly illustrates why our modern 4G and 5G networks are just so ridiculously fast compared to the old school connections. They aren't just using standard waves anymore. They use intensely complex modulation techniques like QAM. This complex technique lets the network pack exponentially more dense blocks of data onto a single continuous wave. It is literally like upgrading our basic data train to a massive double-decker high-speed bullet train.
On top of that, modern phones use something called MIMO technology. That stands for Multiple Input, Multiple Output. It's a form of spatial multiplexing using multiple antennas inside your phone and on the tower. Instead of trying to force all your data down a single, easily congested dirt road, MIMO instantly upgrades your data's path to a massive 8-lane superhighway, multiplying your speed and reliability without needing any extra frequency space.
Which brings us to Section 3, the cellular network, the honeycomb structure of mobile connectivity. Zooming out from your phone, those invisible, data-packed radio waves have to land somewhere, and quickly, before they degrade.
Have you ever actually stopped to wonder why we call them cell phones or a cellular network? Well, it's because telecommunication engineers mathematically divide our cities and rural areas into precise hexagonal honeycomb cells. Each specific geographic zone is governed by a dedicated base station or tower right at its center. This ensures that no matter where you are, you're always completely blanketed within one of these overlapping cells.
But here's a really fascinating puzzle that comes with this honeycomb design. If you're just sitting on your couch, connecting to one tower is a breeze. But what if you're moving fast? How does your phone completely avoid dropping the signal every single time it crosses the border out of one hexagonal zone and into another?
The answer? An incredibly precise dynamic handover system. Picture this. You're traveling at 100 kilometers per hour on a high-speed train. As your phone hits the very edge of cell A, the network actually anticipates your movement and simultaneously communicates with the tower in cell B. They seamlessly pass your connection back and forth in milliseconds. It's a flawless digital baton pass at highway speeds, all so your streaming video never stutters or drops a single frame. All right, Part 4, Core and Backbone Networks. From local towers to the global ocean floor. Because believe it or not, the journey is just getting started.
Let's see how this builds from local towers into a truly massive global infrastructure. So once your local neighborhood tower catches that radio signal, it doesn't just hurl it straight onto the open internet. That would be completely chaotic and super unsecure. Instead, the signal is converted to light and plunges underground, traveling via fiber optics into the telecom provider's highly secure core network. Think of this as a heavily guarded vault where the network verifies your SIM card's exact identity, checks your billing status, and makes absolutely sure you have the proper roaming permissions to proceed.
Right, so after your identity is verified, the network pulls off this truly ingenious trick called packet switching. You see, files are just way too big to send all at once. So the network dismantles your data request into countless tiny, uniform puzzle pieces called packets. It then routes these individual packets across the globe and finally reassembles them perfectly at their destination.
Now, what's absolutely wild about this maze of pathways is that these packets don't travel together in a straight line. Every single packet takes its own independent, maze-like route based on real-time traffic conditions on the network. Packet 1 might zip through Tokyo, while Packet 2 routes through London. Yet, through the sheer magic of internet routing, they all manage to navigate the maze and reunite flawlessly, in perfectly sequential order, at the destination server.
And where are all these tiny packets physically traveling? Well, actually, scratch the idea of a fluffy cloud up in the sky. Diving deep under the ocean, those packets are traveling globally at near light speed through a massive, interconnected vascular system of deep-sea fiber optic submarine cables. The internet isn't in the air, it's resting quietly on the ocean floor, connecting entire continents with strands of glass literally as thin as a human hair.
Section 5. The Internet's Soul. The crucial rules of the road for global data. Now, raw light-speed transmission across the ocean is awesome. But it isn't quite enough. With billions of devices sending trillions of packets, how do we prevent total global chaos? Well, these packets have to follow a universal set of rules.
The absolute core of this is understanding the TCP/IP protocol suite. No matter if you're using a smartphone, a laptop, or even a smart fridge, every single device speaks this foundational language. It acts as the ultimate management system, ensuring data doesn't just move fast, but arrives exactly where it needs to be, totally intact.
To make sense of it, think of the IP address, the Internet Protocol, as the precise house number, guaranteeing the location of the destination. But the TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, is the relentless, slightly obsessive delivery driver holding a clipboard who absolutely will not leave your porch until everything is accounted for. TCP checks off every single packet as it arrives. If even one tiny packet goes missing somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, TCP aggressively demands a resend until the entire file is absolutely perfect.
Which brings us to Section 6, back to your palm, the technological miracle returning to your hands. Finally, the destination server receives your request, prepares the video or web page you ask for, and the entire invisible relay race we just explored happens in reverse, blindingly fast.
When you zoom out and look at the whole picture, this massive, complex journey elegantly stacks up into 3 dimensions of core technology. First, you have the physical layer, those 5G and LTE networks flying data right through the air. Then you've got the network layer, the core networks and IP routing acting as our global fiber optic highway. And finally, the application layer, protocols like HTTP and DNS acting as the universal internet language that makes the data actually usable for us humans.
And it all culminates right back where it began. The processor inside your phone catches those returning electromagnetic waves, decodes them, and reassembles millions of returning packets into a flawless, perfectly smooth video playing right in the palm of your hand. So the next time you stream a video or send a simple text, I want you to ask yourself, are you just holding a simple piece of glass and metal? Or are you commanding a miraculous global transceiver capable of reaching out and physically touching the other side of the planet in mere milliseconds? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the amazing technology right in front of you.